again?
We have two types of Makif, two levels of Makif. And it is imperative to understand that both have an effect on the world. And both are Makif. The effect is in a Makif manner. Makif is a very significant, very important term. Makif is that which gives the context for what there is inside. I've said many times, furnishing in a house and furnishing in a storage house are not the same at all. It's not the same furnishings. That's what a Makif is. And there are two Makif, Makif Elyon and Makif Tachton. Both have tremendous, profound influence on the world. And the Rebbe says we need to understand how their influence of the world is different. Again, not one has influence, one does not have influence. Both have influence. And we need to understand the subtle differences between these two influences. And we start already, and we go again. The effect of the Makif Tihirat Torah of the lower level, the higher which is, this Tihirat Torah is Bechinas Machshava Hakduma Diyah. This is the pristine thought of Ak. We already discussed this, the principle of thought. Clearly, thought is in a different category than speech, even though speech is a direct derivative of thought. You speak that which you think. And it seems almost that you think in the same form as you speak. But there is a profound difference between the two. To begin with, since we're starting over again, might as well delve into it. Speech is imperative that one word follows the other. You cannot speak two words at the same time. The fact that you cannot speak two words at the same time is not merely a practical limit. That's the definition of speech. That one follows the other and it develops as you proceed. The thought that you are saying develops as you proceed through the words that you are expressing. Thought is a different process. Thought also has words, but you're not thinking through the words that the idea surfaces. You think of the idea and then you apply words to it. And therefore the words can come in any order. They do not necessarily come in order of development. Because the idea is already there. The words are just references, pointers. It's not that which creates it. And yet, in thought too, there are words. This is why we say that even though thought contains words, it is on a different level than speech, and it is, relative to speech, it is really a makif. How does the word makif come into this? As we just now finished saying, that in thought you don't think via the words that the thought is contained in. You think the thought and then apply words. Therefore, the essence of thought is a Makif, the idea that you have in your mind, but you have it at the level of thought. And you apply words as needed to express the thought, rather than apply words as contained in the thought. The thought is not created by the words. The words are created by the thought. On the other hand, you still have to recognize that the thought is different than the seichel itself. Seichel does not consist of words at all. Thought does consist of words. So this is already a place where the Makif comes very close to being a pnimi, or being a worldly presence. And this is the contrast, the contrastic element in thought. It's called Tehiro. Tehiro means pure. Purity means it is not contaminated by behaving to adapt it to world. It comes the way it is in its source. But it is Tiratato. It's a lower Tehiro because it already correlates the world. It has worldly means by which it expresses itself. Even though it is Tehiro, it is a Makif, it is a pure thought. So this is called Makif, the lower Makif, the Tiratato. This Makif, this thought aspect, the purity of this thought has tremendous effect on world. Here we're talking from the way it is above, but we don't talk about it as about the human being, because that's a motion for it. But the human being, even though he does have actions and he has words and so forth, but he has the overall perception on a much higher and a purer level. What is it that this is all about? And that is at the thought level. In thought, he senses the purity of the thought itself, even though it is clearly contained in words. And it makes sense. And he has to put it in order. But none of these things is what creates the thought. The thought is, it seems to him almost to emanate directly from the nefesh. This is why we mentioned many times, that people confuse, misunderstand that a thought is not seichel. But the reason there is this misunderstanding and this confusion that thought is called seichel is because of the beetle that is in the thought itself. Because the words are completely contained and bottled to the concept. And this is why this level of machshava is akin to the category of Makif. It's called the Makif. Even though it's in itself, as we said already, it's very much a pnimi. It has containers, but it's containers at the Makif level. So now the Rebbe goes back speaking. The Rebbe speaks of the way it is in Lamaila in the world. Hiratato is machshava hagduma di Adam Kadmon. This is the pristine thought of Adam Kadmon. Pristine thought means the thought before the world was created. It is the thought for world. Before we have to get, so to speak, pay attention to how world is going to take it. What effect this is going to be on world. No, we think top down. And what is the effect of this Makif upon the world? Yeshloi, and this is possible to be explained. Based on what's explained elsewhere. What is the effect of this thought? Now this, when it says impossible. Kol koimo, every koimo, every upstanding entity. And we already discussed the first time, koimo means upstanding means, why is it upstanding? Because it has a real presence. It stands on its own recognizance. Like a person standing on two legs. He's just standing, doesn't have to hold on to anything. Because he's got a real presence, and he's cognizant to what he is. In his mind, he wants to stand, so he stands. And this koimo, that has this type of a presence, before you, before Hashem, tishtachave, it bows down. Why does it bow down? Because no matter how real this koima is, it fully recognizes its total beetle to the Likus itself. And then in the presence of Likus, it doesn't have the whole concept of standing up on its own. The Hainu, this is not the Stachave, Hainu, Bibchinas Tziur Komediak. This is referring to in the Tziur Koimo, the formed Koimo of the upstanding aspect of Odom Kadmon. That's what the Kol Koimo, Odom Kadmon is a Tziur that contains the entire Seder Ishtalshalos. It's a powerful, upstanding entity. Extremely grand. It contains everything that the world can possibly conjure up. And therefore it's upstanding. Yes, so to speak, much to be proud of.
Sorry, what's standing up? Ak is standing up?
Yeah.
Yeah. For the moment.
In itself, it is upstanding about lefonecho. Then it does that. The reyois, why is it? What is the principle of this quote? Kol koimo v'necho tishtachov. This is tzir koimo diak. The koimo the ak represents, which is representing the entire structure of the entire world, of all worlds. And all of that is sourced in the machshava aduma diak. And yet, as great as it is, it bows down. The reyois. So the Rebbe explains, where is this in the reyois? For being that, shebechin as ag soiv of Makif called hayishtalshalos, because at the bechin of ak surrounds and embraces the ishtalshalos and the entire ishtalshalos. In other words, the entire ishtalshalos of all the worlds is contained and it's representative and it has full cognizance of the Makif of Ak, of the Machshava Hakduma. As we explained that Machshava, despite the fact that Machshava has words and so forth, but Machshava itself is not rooted in the words. Machshava is rooted in the source of this thought. Therefore, it is several Makif called Ishtalshuls. And since it is several Makif, it is Makif called Ishtalshuls, therefore it is actually representative that which is the source of the Ishtalshuls. Hare, therefore, beetle which you come in the ark. In this beetle of the Tziyukoma, that the Tziyukoma, the entire structure and all the content of Adam Kadmon, there is an inherent beetle. Why is it an inherent beetle? Because it has cognizance of the source where it's coming from. Like we said, Machshava is not an entity unto itself. It is the source that it represents. This beetle, Kol HaNivroim Misbatlim Be'emes. Then all the Nivroim, all the creatures, the entire creation, with all of the communication, Misbatlim Be'emes are truly bottled. Legabe Ein Sof Baruch. The word Be'emes over here, this is what the Rebbe emphasizes. The Nivroim are Misbatl Be'emes, are misbattled, not misbattled because they are bottled, because they have no significance. Be'emes means, in truth, means that this beetle is recognized even in them. They are fully cognizant of the beetle. Because Ak has the sense of what it stands for. That sense is translated and is permeating and brought down into the Nivroim that are contained therein. They all sense the Ein Sof that enhances, that embraces the Ak. This is what the word Be'emes. Be'emes means in actual fact. Not conceptually they're bottled, because Mimailo Amata are bottled, but in themselves they're bottled. Because they actually sense the Ein Sof. The K'moi Shebechinas Ak, because just as the Ak itself, the Bechina of Ak, again, the Bechina of Ak, the Bechina of the Machshava, that we discussed already, Machshava is an entity, Machshava is bound up with its source. Just as the Bechinas Ak, the Yoise Bechinas Kira B'Lein Sof Baruch, because of the fact that it is in a great closeness, in a state of closeness to Ein Sof Baruch, it does not become the Mitzias that it identifies. It stays close to Ein Sof, and it still continues to represent the source whence it comes from. Therefore, therefore, it is Bibchinas Bittul Mitzias, since it is in a close proximity to Ein Sof. Therefore, it is in a state of Bittul Mitzias. It is in a state of total self-nullification. Let's talk for a moment, since this is already the fifth time we're going. The word Bittul Mitzias. Let us take, quote unquote, a moshel. Although there is not a moshel that we can produce for the senior Bittul Mitzias. but simply in our own experience. We have in our world something called glass, transparent glass.
We're talking about beetle here? Sorry.
Yeah. Beetle means
You have glass.
So just give us a sense. What does that mean, beetle means It isn't either there or it's not there. You say, no, it's there, but it's bottle means In what sense is it there? In what sense it is not there? So if you have glass, pure glass, really transparent glass, this glass can demarcate a room or even a house, certainly a window. And it separates each side from the other. But this separation does not give either side a real presence, because you go straight through, and you see the other side as if this glass doesn't exist. So the other side that you see it in its own truth. Even though it's a real presence, it's a tangible presence. But you see it as if it were not a tangible.
What's tangible? The glass?
The glass and the object that you see through it. Why is it? How is it possible that it becomes so bottled, so non-effective, as if it were not there?
What became non-effective? The glass?
The glass.
But it didn't become non-effective. That's its nature. We didn't talk about something that's...
No. But think about it. It is a tangible thing.
It's a tangible thing through which light that's transparent. So okay.
So how can it be that it becomes so transparent that as if it's not there?
But again, that it didn't become transparent. That's its nature. It wasn't
How
transformative.
can a physical entity have a nature of being totally transparent?
And that's a mashal for...
No, before we go, that's a mashal. Do we get the point? Think about it. The reason it is transparent is because light is of such a substance, such a quality that is so much superior to its physical entity that it goes through as if it was not there.
Right, but the glass itself has other properties where it's certainly mitzvah. So I'm not... The fact that it admits light...
Try to think at the point, it's a motion. Try to think of the point that I'm trying to make here.
Namely that...
The glass is a tangible entity.
And it admits...
And it is totally non-existent, b'mtzius,
regarding light.
When light shines through. In the presence of light, it's non-entity. Both b'mtzius. As if it weren't there.
Mm-hmm. How could that be?
How can that be? This is why it's a proper motion, because the motion in this says the reason this is so is because light is of such fine substance that it permeates this gashmi, like a piece of glass, as if it weren't there.
Okay, but by the Nimshal, it was Kol Kaima Tishtachave.
What's the thing that's bottom of the shit? The light or the glass?
The glass. In the face of light, the glass is bottom and seas.
Right, but the Nimshal is...
Before you go to bot,
Yes.
let's focus in and understand how is this emotion. What are we trying to
Yeah,
understand.
I don't get how it's a mashal.
Okay, that's why you don't think. The moshel is light versus glass. That is the Gashmic presence. But the Gashmic presence of light is so fine that it goes to glass as if there was nothing there, no obstruction.
So too by the nimshal.
Before you go to the Nimshal, do we understand the significance of this?
No, that's why I'm looking for it.
No, you're going to the Nimshal.
Exactly, that's the significance element.
No,
I'm not
no,
getting.
in the moshel.
I'm not getting any significance from the mashal. No.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So you don't have moshel, you don't have Nimshal.
Every material has characteristics, and glass happens to have this characteristic. I'm not getting significance from it.
Think about it, Bein Shalom.
All right.
The light is glass is a mitzvah or not?
There's a lot of things that are metzias that transmit light.
Fine, but guess is that a mitzvah or not? It's a physical mitzvah.
Yes, but it doesn't seem.
Is light a physical mitzvah or not?
It doesn't seem like a wonder. It's certainly a physical metzias.
You know, I'm giving up.
Why must you give up?
You know, please think. Where is that concept come from? That a physical entity should be able to permeate another physical entity and ignore it as if it's not there. The reason that is so, please now think, the reason this is so, not the way you think, oh, the properties are, the reason this is so is because light is a physical substance of such fine quality that glass doesn't, it bypasses glass as if it's not there.
Light is a physical substance of such fine quality
Exactly.
that it passes through glass.
It passes through glass as if it weren't there. The Metzius. Because light is of a superior quality relative to real tangible physicality.
Which would seem to imply it should pass through everything.
That which accepts it becomes mortal to. That which doesn't want to listen to it, we have Metzius. Just a good emotion over here. If you don't want to understand, you don't understand.
What's difficult on that?
1 second. Okay. Please understand. The reason I said many times, what is seichel? Seichel is not structured from words and structures. Seichel is a neshama quality. Neshama is superior to all the sichlim that we say. In neshama we have the finest element, and then it translates on the lowest element. We have seichel, we have midas, and we have action and speech and deed. But it is also rooted in life of neshama. It's a neshama element. What's neshama? Neshama is present in the guf. We can't touch it. We can't touch it. Unfortunately, we are used to translate our physical worldly experience in the way the scientists present it. It is not the reality of it. Practically, yes, but this is not the reality. This is not what was created. What was created is a divine message. As we said many times, the world initially was dark. God said that it be a light, and there was light. No sun, no moon, no stars, nothing. There was light. What is light? What kind of light? What is light then at that point? So we spoke about it many times. Light at that point is a statement that there's divine presence. Then it translates in a physical world. But initially, light is not physical. That is a godly reality.
So light through glass was to indicate kol koma lefanav lefanecha tishtachave.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
The light through the glass shows that the glass in the presence of light is botel b'metzius. It cannot interfere with light. Light is much of a higher, finer quality than glass can affect it. This is just a muscle to the Indian of a higher quality.
That being כל הנברואים מתבטלים באמת.
Otazeh.
לפני אור אינסוף.
Otazeh. Now we are translating it. This is the words in the Maimon. כל הנברואים מתבטלים באמס. Emes means in their very being. As the Yarmitz in Nivroim, they sense the oil Soif, and the oil Soif permeates through them, and therefore there is battle members for the members. Because the real truth of all the Nivroim, what does Nivroim come from? What does Nivroim represent? Oil Soif. Except it was with Tzimtzum and so forth, but essentially, if Oil Soif should come forward, to be revealed, Nivroim is back in the answer, they will actually sense the Oil Soif. And then they become bottle Metzius.
Seems like every Nivra is battle the Metzius.
In presence of Oil Soif, yes.
Or just by virtue of being, it's continuously doing what it was made to do. So it's completely battle lifnei haboyre, basically.
Very good. Okay, so we're coming because Oiren Soif decided to create Nivroim and gave each Nivro its place and its mission within the created world. But looking at it from the Oiren Soif perspective, it's both limited.
Right, and even the Nivra itself does nothing but what it's commanded to do.
True, but it's not necessarily aware of this.
It's never aware of it. The only one who has this choice and awareness is man.
Okay. Now, by man itself, there's an awareness that there is Oiris, that he is in divine service. Sometimes man himself turns around and says, oh, I'm serving my own world. I'm serving my own convenience, my comfort.
Yeah, he has choice. The Nivroim seemingly not.
The Nivra, the Odom, the choice in Odom, to really stand in the place of Honachat Ishtachava, he needs enormous amount of avodah, and then some, because he was created to be an entity and world, and he is worldly. He can know that he is really a God creation, but to reach the point where he is bottled b'mtzias, this is what's called the tzaddik gomer. This is not a common thing in man.
And by all the other Nivroim, they do seem to be battle b'metziut.
All other Nivroim, they battle b'metziut in the sense, like the REBBE says in Tanya, that they fulfill their mission exactly the way they were designed to do. Odom is the only one who can pervert his mission.
Right. Yeah.
But the truth is, we are going off the line of thought that we are trying to get there. The line of thought that we're trying to get in the martial aspect is that there is such a thing that is so superior, like light, that's so superior to tangible physicality, that the tangible physicality vanishes in existence. It doesn't vanish, but in the presence of light, it is both limited. So we took the motion of glass, allowing light to go through it. By extension, we have to think a little bit deeper in this, and we say like this. light, when the Rebbe brought light, daylight, particularly late daylight, it brought the entire creation to the level of visibility. In what way? Not as it is being interpreted in the physical world, that the light is bounces off the object. It completely ignores the presence of an object. It reveals exactly what the object is, period. That's what daylight is. There is no counterbalance. It's as if you were there, as if you were, the object is right there, the reality of the object itself. Because of the quality of light that is so fine that it completely bypasses and negates all obstacles. Bypasses all obstacles. And he shows you the reality as it is, be'emes. This is the union that we say in halacha. A witness, you can know things by indirect proof to the point where it is doubtless as to what happened. Completely doubtless. Nonetheless, having seen it is completely different.
To such an extent that the other evidence doesn't even count.
That's right. It can be a witness.
And you cannot convict based on this so-called circumstantial.
Exactly right. Exactly. It's not circumstantial. It's so obvious. It couldn't be in anything else. That's a metzius in world, where a sight is metzius, a super world is a metzius. World is important complete.
And you need super worldly input to convict.
To convict in halacha, in best.
Okay, well that's interesting in itself, but okay.
Why? I will explain why. Because the conviction in person is a Torah conviction. It's like the Torah says you're guilty, not the human being says you're guilty.
And for that you need this sort of supernal input.
That's supreme recognition.
Namely, direct sight itself, nothing else.
Nothing else.
Okay.
Okay, again, I apologize if I were less than fully respectful. I really don't mean to do that. I just want to point out, we have capacity in our seichel to see things from their inception. The things as they are true, not as they are presented to us. So this will be it for today.
I think Baruch had a question. Somebody was asking.
Baruch had a question?
Somebody was started asking.
I have a question.
Okay, so away.